Hello everyone, welcome to the video on the basic elements of an election. As you can see, we are starting the mathematics of elections. So, two parts of it, voting and the counting. And what we're going to be talking about is the counting. So Arrow's impossibility theorem, a method for determining election results that is democratic and always fair, is a mathematical impossibility. What that means is any method that you come up with, there's always going to be a downside to whatever counting system that you can come up with. All right. So this is something we've known. Paradox is that the more opportunities we have to vote, the less we seem to appreciate and understand the meaning of voting. We take things for granted. So there are the candidates. That is what we're voting on. You've got the people making the votes, the voters, and then you've got the ballots, how you are making your selections, your decisions. And then there's going to be different ways of voting, and we will get to all of these. All right, so we've got different outcomes: winner only, partial ranking, full ranking. Right here, the interesting part is how we handle a tie. That, like anything else, is you want to agree upon that before you start your voting process. As we're finding out now, if people change things during the process of voting, it can get very messy and ugly. So let's look at an example here. We've got our math club here. We've got 4 people running, and we're going to create here what we have on the next slide is a preference ballot. So each one of these represents a person who has voted. Make that a little bit larger. There we go. So this ballot right here represents one person's vote. They selected A first, B second, C was their third choice, and D was their fourth choice. If we go over here to this ballot, the person that submitted this ballot, their first choice was C, then B, then D, then A. You can see some are similar, like A, B, C, D. There's an A, B, C, D. There's a CBDA. There's a CBDA. But each one of these represents one person's preference ballot. That is their vote in order 1 through 4. Okay. Examples of well-known elections here, where they use a preference ballot. All right. Academy Awards, Oscars, only one person is going to win. When the voters do their voting, they will arrange them first through however many people have been nominated for each award. And we'll talk about different ways of capturing the winner. Heisman Trophy Award is a truncated preference ballot where there may be 10 people nominated, for instance, and you might only vote for your top 3, or your top 4, or your top 5. I'm not exactly sure how Heisman Trophy goes, but you only list your top whatever. You don't arrange them for all the ones that were nominated. And American Idol is an example of one where you have the last place has been eliminated. Okay. Properties of a preference ballot. A candidate in a higher position is always preferred over a candidate in a lower position. So you rank them from top to bottom, highest to lowest. And then, of course, the relative preferences do not change if one of the candidates withdraws. So, for instance, here, if person C had withdrawn, A would still be preferred to B, and B would still be preferred to D. Just C would be removed. Okay. Now, what we have here is we've got our ballots grouped together. Remember, here we had a few individual ballots that preferred it A, B, C, D. Here's another one that ordered them A, B, C, D. Here's another one that preferred A, B, C, D. And so what we've done here is we've grouped them together. So there were 14 ballots that their preference was A, then B, then C, then D. Of those 37 ballots that we looked at, there were 10 ballots that were ordered CBDA and so on. 8 were ordered DCBA, and then 4 as this, 4 like this. Here it is all together. So here's all individual ballots. Okay. And then you've grouped all the ones that are the same, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, and you've grouped them all together. Again, there's 14 of them, right? 10 of them, 8. So you group the like ballots, right? 37 ballots, same ordering grouped together. So now we know 14 people voted like this, 10 people voted like this, 8 voted like this. All right, so then what you're now going to do is you're going to create a preference schedule that's a little bit easier to read. That's the benefit of it. So now the 14 people that voted A, B, C, D, it's more of a table format. Now we're going to look at them all together, so it makes sense. So here are the individual ballots. Here are the ballots grouped together. Picture 14 stacks of paper ballots. Here, 10 paper ballots grouped together, and so on and so on. Here you've put it in a table. So again, you've got 14 people that picked A first, B second, C third, D fourth. Okay, so you had 8 ballots, DCBA, so you can see now in the table you have 8 people that chose D first, C second, B third, D fourth. I'm sorry, A fourth, and so on. Different ways of determining if there's a tie, who the winner is. We will use some of these as we go through. We're not going to do runoff elections. There's even been cases in the United States where their system of determining a winner, if there's a tie, is they literally flipped a coin to see who the winner was. Not the best way to do it, if you ask me. All right, so we're now going to look at going back and forth between what we just looked at, which is a preference schedule, and a printed names ballot. So this one, it's real easy to see. Okay, here's how the first place votes were distributed. Here's how the second place votes were distributed, and so on. Here we want to see by person kind of how their votes were distributed. So for instance, I'm just going to put them in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D. There's nothing here is about A being first or B being second. I literally put these in alphabetical order. And then what we're going to do is we'll see what everybody has as we go across. So remember, these 14 people voted A first. So these 14 people voted for A first. These same 14 people voted B second. So right now you're really not going to see much of a difference because these first 14 were in order. C third, and of course the rest of them voted D fourth. Now we'll see a little bit of a difference here. We're going to go to the 10 people. These 10 people voted C first. So C received those 10 first place votes. These 10 people voted B second. So B received those 10 second place votes. All right, these 10 people voted D third. And these 10 people voted A fourth. So whereas A had a lot of first place votes here, you can see here A had a lot of fourth place votes as well. Okay. I'm going to pause this for a moment and give you guys a chance to complete that table yourselves. Okay, there's a completed table, and it would be interesting to know which person, A, B, C, or D, you think won this vote. And now we're going to take another vote, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, and you can see their votes John looks like got a lot of second place votes. Paul, a little bit of everything. George seems to have gotten a lot of fourth place votes, and Ringo seems to have the most first place votes by call. So what we're going to do is now we're going to take this, we're going to go from a printed names ballot where we can look at things by person. We're going to put it over here in a preference schedule so we can look at it by first place votes, second place votes, and so on. So here we go. John, for these 23 people, John got second place. So for these 23 people, second place went to these 23 people. First place went to Paul. So these 23, first place went to Paul. These 23 people, fourth place went to George. And again, these same 23 people, third place went to Ringo. Do the same thing for the second column. For these 18, John got second. So these 18, John, second place. 18, these 18, Paul was third. So for these 18, Paul was third. For these 18, George was first. And for these 18, Ringo was fourth, right? So again, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to let you finish this table on your own. There's my completed table. And again, it would be interesting to know who you would select as the winner for this vote, for this election. Okay. So this is the end of part 1 for this section.